It's up to you, New York, New York.
How we doing? Welcome back to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast here on Facebook and YouTube. And today is the NFL Draft. I have been waiting and waiting so patiently for today, and reason to be excited. The New York Football Giants have two picks in the top 10, and this picture right here shows how good the draft could be. Now, the Giants didn't draft this player. Of course, that's two-time Super Bowl MVP Eli Manning. The San Diego Chargers drafted Eli, and Eli pulled the John Elway and ultimately got himself into Big Blue's organization, winning Super Bowls in '07 and 2011. Probably should have won a Super Bowl in '08 as well, which I believe would have completely obliterated any doubt of his Hall of Fame candidacy. That's Ernie Accorsi. He did a phenomenal job putting together, particularly that first Super Bowl team, although he didn't get credited with a ring. Of course, two-time Super Bowl champion Tom Coughlin, who made his second stint with the New York Giants during that era, as he was an assistant under the legendary Bill Parcells. Of course, Bill Belichick also served on that '90s Giants team as a defensive coordinator. That was then, this is now. Yesterday, I completed my final mock draft, and I wanted to share with you, the viewers, my results. There was a little bit of a turn on my draft as the Miami Dolphins did make a trade with me, and I'm going to reiterate during the course of showing you how I had made out on this draft, reminding you that the Miami Dolphins did indeed trade with me. My number one target was Jeremiah Love out of the University of Notre Dame, the star running back. Unfortunately, in my draft, he was off the board. So I made a swift pivot and got myself a great linebacker. With pick one, round one, pick 5 in the 2026 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Sonny Styles out of Ohio State. To say this man could be a game wrecker is an understatement. I think this is the kind of player that teams fawn over and want to build around. Now, of course, the New York Giants made some upgrades in the second layer of their defense. They did pick up Tremaine Edmonds. Styles is a guy that can get after the quarterback. Styles is a guy that can cover tight ends. Styles is a guy that could go into the back and help out the safeties. His pursuit is terrific. His angles are terrific. His athleticism is unreal. And this is a guy that I think whoever is fortunate enough to draft him tonight really gets themselves a phenomenal ball player. We have heard conflicting reports lately that he might not be their guy. I don't necessarily subscribe to that notion. I do think that if Jeremiah Love is available at 5, the New York Giants may very well go that route because they would have something that so few have: 2-star running backs, both under rookie control. course, I'm talking about Cam Scatterbo as the other back. But in the event that Jeremiah Love is taken by the Jets or taken by the Titans, I think the Titans is more likely. I think the Jets go in defense. This would be a superb pick. Sonny Styles, welcome to Big Blue. Now, as I mentioned, the Miami Dolphins made a deal with me. I moved back one spot and received an additional pick. So round one, pick 11, the New York Giants select Caleb Downs, safety out of Ohio State. The Giants have not properly replaced Xavier McKinney since he left for greener pastures with the Green Bay Packers. Downs is a player that can play in the box. Downs is a player that has good pursuit angles, good launch angles. Downs is a player that can induce turnovers, and he could also hit. And when you think about the way that Coach Harbaugh over his years in Baltimore values the backside of the defense, the corners, the safeties, I think this is a player that the New York Giants definitely have on their radar. Now, in the event that Downs is off the board when the Giants get to their second pick, I do believe they'll pivot to potentially one of the top corners in the nation, whether it be Jamard McCoy or maybe Mansour Delane out of LSU. But I do believe that corner definitely could be on the Giants' wish list, as well as possibly receiver. Jordan Tyson or Carnell Tate, if they're on the board at pick 10, the Giants may very well get themselves a receiver. Any combination in terms of tonight's draft of the players I mentioned, I would be very happy. But welcome to Big Blue, Caleb Downs. Now back to my regular picks, because that was a move back with a trade with Miami. At pick 37, round two, I didn't think this could come to fruition, and it might not. We'll see. I mean, edge rushers do have a propensity for going before defensive tackles. But if this comes to fruition, I think the Giants get a steal here. Round two, pick 37, Caden McDonald, defensive tackle out of Ohio State. It's no secret that the Giants need to address this position. With the recent departure of Dexter Lawrence, he is the reason the Giants have the 10 pick. Dexter Lawrence joins the Cincinnati Bengals. McDonald doesn't have the same profile of other OSU players that have come out in recent years, but this is definitely a guy that gets his hands in the dirt, a guy that can be a plug against the run game, and a guy that definitely could play in odd fronts. When you consider that you have Brian Burns and Abdul Carter around him, will Kayvon Thibodeau be a part of this defense? We don't know yet. He has been mentioned in potential trade talks. But this is a guy that, also with some rotational veteran help, could be an impact starter in due time. And I don't think that time is going to be that far. Whoever drafts Caden McDonald will be better for it. My personal prediction, Caden McDonald will be a Houston Texan at day's end, or excuse me, at tomorrow night's end, because today's only day one. Today's only round one. But I do believe Caden McDonald is going to be an impact starter in the NFL, and I think he's going to do some great things. Welcome to Big Blue, Caden McDonald. Round three, with the Malik Neighbors injury, the New York Giants are most definitely in the market for another wide receiver. Of course, they brought in some help veteran-wise on short-term deals in the form of Darnell Mooney as well as Calvin Austin. That receiver room by no means is complete. A source close to me has mentioned that perhaps Darius Slayton may be getting shopped. They even brought in Odell Beckham Jr. for a recent workout and physical. I don't think they're going to sign him until after the draft, depending on how they do. But in round three, I go to the national champions. And this is via Miami. This was the other pick that I received in that trade. Round three, Elijah Sarrett out of Indiana, their number 2 receiver. This is not a top tier wide receiver in terms of what's in this class, but this is a guy that is sure-handed. This is a chain mover, not the quickest, not the most explosive, but a guy that is a very high football acumen in terms of running routes. When you consider that this team did lose Wandell Robinson and this wide receivers room is still under construction, if the New York Giants do not get one of the top tier guys at either pick 5 or 10, I would not be the least bit upset with a pick like this. Now, of course, the Giants don't have pick 94 tonight. This was a mock draft that I did, and this was a trade that I acquired that pick from Miami. Now, in the first round, I only moved back one pick, still drafted Downs. But welcome to Big Blue, Elijah Sarrett, a guy that I definitely think could be a very good player in this league for a very long time. The rest of the draft, I kind of concentrated on team needs, things that I think the Giants most definitely needed. And one of the issues with the Giants going into this new season is an uncertainty at one of the guard spots. Pick 4, 105, I go to Kentucky and bring in Jalen Farmer. I do not view Farmer as an instant starter. I think this is a player that's going to need to be developed. Now, of course, under John Harbaugh, they are giving former NFL draft day bust Evan Neal. He was the 7th overall pick the year he was drafted. They're giving him a second life, a second chance. Do I agree with it? Doesn't matter what I think. I do think, however, though, if anyone can fix him, it's Harbaugh. Harbaugh had never had true issues with his offensive linemen in terms of performance as units. So maybe Evan Neal moving into guard, maybe he could finally find himself in the NFL before it's too late. But Jalen Farmer is my depth pick, and I think in time he's going to be a good player. Now, Coach Harbaugh's brother formerly coached this program. At pick 5, assuming that the Giants may very well be moving on from Kayvon Thibodeaux, or even if this is indeed Kayvon's last year with the Giants, which is definitely a possibility. Round 5, pick 145, Jayshon Barham out of Michigan. I am not completely sold that his pass rush is all the way polished just yet. I do like him in terms of playing the run. And I think, once again, this is a guy that you could develop into a really good football player. Jayshon Barham, welcome to Big Blue, edge rusher out of Michigan. Round 6, pick 192. I mentioned earlier in the show how much Coach Harbaugh values his secondary. Wyatt Williams, safety out of Ole Miss. Giants double up on the safety position because I don't think anyone is truly safe, given that this is a new regime. I'm talking about Javon Holland, of course. We already picked up Caleb Downs. Williams is a guy that doesn't take players off. Williams is a guy that hustles. Williams is a guy that's not afraid to lay the wood. There are some technique things that can improve, but I do believe, once again, in time, this is a guy that's going to be a pretty good player. Welcome to Big Blue, Wyatt Williams. And closing out my final mock draft, round 6, I go to the University of Wisconsin and pick up an offensive lineman, Riley Mahlman. And he's a mauler. This is a guy that reminds me very much so of offensive linemen of yesteryear in terms of his physicality, in terms of just being a mean guy on the field. He does draw some penalties, some that I'm sure at the pro level they want to clean up. But when you consider it's late in the draft, round 6, their final pick, assuming they don't trade back or get more picks, this is a quality pick for a guy who could potentially be a spot starter now and in time be a starter. Thing I love about the NFL draft, you see people's lives change. You see everything change in one night for players. Now, of course, there's going to be guys that over exceed given their draft position. There's going to be some bust. It's unavoidable. It happens. And you're going to have potentially some Hall of Famers drafted tonight. One of the coolest things is to see the overjoyed family members and the players themselves, reaching their life dream. But with the opportunity comes a lot of pressure, comes a different way of living, comes a lot of temptation. And so all the young men that are going to be joining the NFL tonight, I just humbly say, please be careful with your new blessings. Don't be afraid to talk to some of the veterans around the league. Don't be afraid to budget your money. It's a life-changing situation, but it could all go away ever so quickly. And we've seen those tragedies happen too. Good luck to all the young men in the NFL draft over the weekend. Going to be moving the gears over to baseball for a few minutes. Really an enjoyable couple of days in Fenway as the New York Yankees, after some struggles for the better part of a week and a half, mainly in the Tampa and the Los Angeles series, the Yankees pitching has been sensational. When you consider that Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon have not contributed yet, you get a really nice start a couple of nights ago out of Luis Gil. Last night, current ace Max Fried did not have his best stuff, but I think the turning point in yesterday's game was when, in the second inning, the Red Sox were threatening nobody out, second and third, and Fried was able to get out of it unscathed. That's what great pitchers do. They find ways. Now, third base conundrum, I've spoken about it on many a show. Infield conundrum in general. Jazz and McMahon ain't hitting. Ahmed Rosario gets the start and rewards his manager, Aaron Boone's good faith, with a 3-run home run over the Green Monster. That ultimately was all the Yankees really needed. Yankees added another run. Giancarlo Stanton, couple of big hits yesterday. And Ben Rice did get the bench yesterday as he had a rough game one. Of course, Ben Rice, not the best against lefties, so Paul Goldschmidt got the opportunity. But right now, I'm seeing a Yankee team that is just finding ways to win. And it's what you want to see. They go for a sweep today in Fenway, which would be their second consecutive sweep if they can do that. They'll improve to 3-3 in the American League East if they could do that. And the story of that game has to be Cam Schlittler. Grew up in the New England area. Definitely loved the Yankees since day one. Last year in the playoffs, eliminated the Boston Red Sox and was just sensational. And now he's a co-ace for the New York Yankees, while two veteran pitchers, one potentially a future Hall of Famer and Garrett Cole, are healing. He and Max Fried are holding it down as the 1-2. But this Yankee rotation offers a lot of good options. Luis Gil, a former Rookie of the Year, pitched very well the other night. Will Warren looked good in his most recent start, as did Ryan Weathers. And ultimately, what happens here is when Rodon and Cole return, some of these guys are going to end up in the pen. I think it fortifies some long relief situations. You get spot starters too, in case of an injury or two should come along down the stretch. But you get a lot of depth in this Yankees overall staff, which I have not seen probably since you got to go back to when they had the likes of Pettit, Mussina, Clemens. Like, it's been a minute since the Yankees have had this kind of overall depth. And it's exciting to see where it goes. The hitting is not completely resolved. You're going to have guys that slump. Former manager of the New York Yankees, Joe Girardi, who did the game yesterday, made mention of that. But the Yankees are in a good place right now. And what I like most about yesterday is that they were able to navigate through Boston threatening in the ninth inning. They almost held Boston scoreless in Fenway for 2 consecutive games. That hasn't happened since 43-44, to put it in perspective. But David Bednar did not have to get his hands dirty yesterday. David Bednar did not have to get in that game, which is invaluable because he's available today. And Cam Schlittler, I expect the Boston crowd to be really hard on him. He has mentioned that he has even received death threats. Now, the validity and the seriousness of it is different. You get people that are just flat out assholes. But I wish Cam the best on the bump tonight. I'm sure it's going to be a very emotional game for him, considering that that is his hometown. And he has proven to have ice in his veins, so to speak, in these big moments. I'm predicting that the Yankees pull off today's game with a 5-2 victory. Final topic I want to hit on before I get out of here. New York Knicks. Man, game 2 was very disappointing the way it played out. Very avoidable. When you get Atlanta in the penalty in the fourth quarter as early as the Knicks did, it was very frustrating to see them settling for a lot of jumpers, when in reality, I feel that they could have lived inside the paint and tried to live at the line. Now, speaking of free throws, they missed 10 of them. You're not going to win a lot of games missing that ratio of free throws. A mistake, in my opinion, on Coach Mike Brown's part. Well, there's a couple. Jordan Clarkson was a nice spark off the bench and really did a good job defensively. I would have not brought him out in the final minutes of that game. I think that he could have served and helped out big time. You know, Jalen Brunson does a lot for this team. He didn't have his best shooting night. But one thing that Jalen Brunson is not great at is on the ball defense. Can't be good at everything. Karl-Anthony Towns, whether it's from Mike Brown, whether it's from himself, whether it's from point guard Jalen Brunson, has to be more involved in the getting down low in the paint. When that man is at the free throw line, the Knicks win a lot more games. And it was rare that the Knicks lost given their record when leading going into the fourth quarter. So definitely something that has most Knicks fans upset. But I think sometimes with teams, you need to get punched in the face to wake up a little. Knicks should be up 2-0. But when you look around at the NBA, Denver blew a substantial lead in their game too. The Celtics are even. Detroit's even, and Detroit was down 1-0. They had to win game 2. Even the Spurs lost game 2, the number 1 seed out west, or number 2 seed out west. So all I could really say is a series doesn't truly take form until somebody wins on the other team's home court. That's happened here in the Knicks series. And I expect the best of the Knicks tonight in Atlanta, reclaiming home court advantage by taking a game in Atlanta and then putting the pressure back on the Hawks. I expect Jalen Brunson to be his best tonight, and I think the Knicks are going to find a way to win. High, lofty expectations on this Knicks team coming into the season, especially when you consider that Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson are one of the better 1-2s in the league, and you consider the way that everything was laid out for the Knicks to have a phenomenal season. No Tyrese Halliburton for the defending Eastern Conference champions. Jason Tatum missed all of the year. Things were truly lined up well for the Knicks to take care of business. So it's now or never. Not necessarily never, but let's get it done now, Knicks. I hope everyone enjoys the NFL draft. We'll be taking on a new endeavor, more than likely tonight. I will be joining a show on a co-host level called Talk of New York. Really looking forward to working with Jay and John. It is going to be a Yankees-based podcast. And if you haven't already, check out Yankees Daily if you are a Yankee fan. They have a massive, massive following and just a really good place to talk baseball. I'm looking forward to this new opportunity. Of course, I'm still going to be doing my thing here at the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. But enjoy the NFL Draft Day 1. And according to Jay Glazer, something huge is going to happen in round 1 tonight. But he basically said he can't say anything on it until the draft actually starts. Have a great night, everyone, for the draft, and have a great day. I'm going to be getting ready for my less fun job, but definitely going to be monitoring the draft today, and definitely going to be on tonight for that Yankee show. Have a good one. I'm out. And go Giants.